Boom, do this, do this. Didn't check this ahead of time. Might have, shoulda. Oh well, I'm a little late.
Hello.
Yo, what's up?
Not much. How about you?
I'm streaming an interview right now, actually. I'm doing, yeah.
Dreaming it.
Oh, yeah, you did. Hey, this is gonna be streamed, by the way. Ooh.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hey, well, I guess I didn't mention that part. I don't know.
No.
Sorry. You're welcome to back out if you want. I don't mind.
No, that's okay. I'm fine.
Okay. So I guess I'll explain it to you because I didn't actually do that, I guess. Um
Yeah, full of surprises.
so basically it's this like series of interviews with people that I think have good RP or whatever, and I'm
Mhm.
like asking questions to try and get like, since I mean everybody's RPing, right? That we know in the game,
Yeah.
but there's like these big ideas behind what we're actually doing. So I'm trying to get at those and make myself a better RPer and claim that I'm trying to help other people so that it doesn't look like I'm super selfish, basically.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So, for the record, there are more of them than this interview. There have been 4 or 3 or something already. Um, So yeah, count yourself, I guess, amongst friends, and sorry that
Awesome.
I didn't mention the streaming part. I forgot, I
That's
guess.
okay.
Maybe I
That's
gotta
alright. I'll
tell
just
some.
roll with it.
I'll mention that to some other people now that we bring it up. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, I don't know you that I don't know you basically. I try and pick people who I do know and people I don't know, so that um sometimes the things I ask of the people that I know what their answers are already, and it's easy, right? But
Sure.
since I don't know you, um, it's you might have views that I don't expect.
Okay.
Um, but first, how did you wind up RPing with us? Like, do you have a long RP background?
Um, yes and no. I guess for GG is pretty new compared. I've been doing RP for a long time and just games in general. But for GG, this is only my second season. I guess this wasn't really a season, but this was my second time on GG in total. But
Okay.
I've been RPing for a long time.
Like, in voice RP or just all sorts of stuff?
um, yeah, mostly voice RP, I'd say. I guess like I've always liked RP games. I've always liked that idea of RP. I'd say voice RP probably maybe 5 or 6 years now. So not as long as some people, but pretty
What?
long.
That's crazy. Wow. Um, do you remember how you got into it?
um, no, not really. I guess like watching other people when I don't know if you remember H1Z1,
Of
but
course.
that was like one of the first games where they started doing RP servers that I remembered. So that was like one of my first RP servers. So I had started with that, and then like Atlas started coming around, and Arc, and all those, and I just got into those as well because it's fun.
Wow. That's impressive. Myself and a lot of people that I talk to, we consider ourselves like new, I guess, because we've only been doing it like 2 years, and
Mhm.
like we started with, I guess, Atlas or even Arc, but like we still feel like we don't. we don't know what we're doing and we're just sort of guessing and stuff like that. Do you still feel that way after?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing about RP is that you never know what you're gonna get that day. And so even though I've done this long enough to, kind of have a little bit of experience, I still never know who I'm gonna run into that day. So you might have a totally different experience that you never thought you'd have.
Yeah, definitely. Um, do you? I have all these questions that like I ask everybody. Um, so I'm just gonna burn through them.
Yeah.
But this is like it's really interesting to hear someone say like, "Oh, I've been doing this for longer than basically anyone I've spoken to so far." So that's really cool. How this specific season, I guess. How do you feel it wound up for you and your characters?
Um, I think that as far like because of the server having some of those hiccups at the end, there was a little bit of a rush to finish some stories off. But I feel like because we knew it was a mini season, I didn't really get into like I just kind of made a character that would be like, "Eh, whatever happens, happens," type of thing. So I was happy with the ending, even though it was kind of cut short.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy with everything. I'm always happy with whatever happens, to be honest. I think that probably helps me a lot. Is that I just go with whatever happens.
How did you make this a character then? If it was supposed to be sort of shortish.
I I don't know. I guess like we just come up with random things. I always play with my friends and
Mm-hmm.
we just kind of play off each other where it's like, what haven't we done yet? We always try to do something new like we've never done before. Um our first season on GG, we were part of the Hollywood people, and so um we played super rich, hot, sexy, popular girl. That was our characters last time. And then this season, I was like a New Jersey Italian woman who smoked like 40 packs a day.
Mm-hmm.
So very different, very different character. So we just kind of have fun. I always just make a character that I've never done and just see what happens.
Um, as a side note, you're welcome to talk about anything. We're not like affiliated with any. I mean, I'm affiliated with GG, yes, but you could talk about anything you want. So like, if you have characters from other servers, it doesn't have to be just GG, just for the record.
Okay.
But so I did want to ask you about your character specifically because she is someone who smokes, like you said, a bunch, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so here's this idea of woman smoking a bunch of cigarettes over and over and over,
Yeah.
and the Jersey accent, like you said. Um, do
I'm
you?
not from Jersey, as you can see.
Of course, yeah. That's cool. I think that's awesome. But do you think the anachronisms that come from a character like that, or a character from Hollywood, like not impair, but do you think it jars other characters who are doing the 1600s pirate junk kind of RP?
I think that it does sometimes. It depends on the person because, we have people that are playing fantasy characters too. So I
Sure.
think that if you have someone that's like, I'm playing an Atlantean mermaid or whatever, whatever they come up with, like, I don't see the difference between, like, and I'd be very period appropriate with everything else. It was just my character would be that person in this time. I wouldn't, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? I wouldn't make too many references that were today or anything. So, yeah, I could see where some people that are super into the, what is it, 1700
Mhm.
RP, but for the most part, I never ran into anyone that was super like, we have to be this pirate in this time period.
Yeah,
Everyone kind of had their little, flavors.
definitely. Um, cool. Do you, since you make characters at random, do you have a bunch of voices that you've experienced playing in the past? Do you like have a bunch of accents and everything?
Um, Not that's like on the top. Like I don't have a repertoire of like voices I do are good at. I think that we just kind of place it together. Like I've put like right now I'm playing in the Daisy server and I'm playing like a country western singer. So she's got like that southern, oh hey, howdy, type of
Mm.
character. So uh, I just kind of think, well, what would this character sound like? You know, like
Yeah,
it
definitely.
kind of just comes with it.
Yeah, so that's another thing I was looking at. You basically, as soon, like, as soon as Astoria was down, y'all were up in DayZ trying to do zombie junk. Um, was that like they're incredibly different games? Was it like a hard adjustment? I guess I can't remember what the word is that I'm looking for. I probably wrote it down. Let me look. uh, Culture shock is what I was looking for in going from
Oh,
pirates to
yes,
zombies.
yes. And I feel like there is a lot of pros and cons with it because like one thing I liked about Atlas was that for the most part everyone's really friendly to one another and you're not when you meet someone you're not really like on edge unless you start to know that that's a bad person versus Daisy, which I hadn't played since like it came out. Daisy, the moment you meet someone you're like, are they going to kill me? Are they going to, and that's just Daisy. I think even though it's RP community, you're still on edge like who is this person? What are they going to do to me? I'm gonna lose all my stuff that I just spent hours getting.
I actually
but
had
it's
yeah, I feel the same way actually. Um, I had never played Daisy in my whole life, even though I owned it or something, or maybe I bought it. I don't know. But when I tried it in the last Daisy season, like I don't even play Atlas. Like I just RP. Um, and
same.
playing DayZ was super strange to me because we wanted to have a party on a rooftop and everyone else wanted to survive the apocalypse. It was very strange.
Yes, and that's all my characters that I ever make. Whatever game we play, I never really play the game, and sometimes my character hurts my gameplay. Like right now in Daisy, my character is like I'm trying to make her look as country as possible, which is like a flannel shirt and some booty shorts, and that's not helpful for Daisy at all because I'm cold, I'm hungry, I can't carry anything.
Yeah.
So, but the RP is better for me because of that.
Um I'm working on these not big ideas. These ideas like I said behind the RP, right? So, I have this
Mhm.
idea of well, first off, do you use the HUD when you play Atlas?
Yes,
Mm, mm,
and
mm, mm.
only I because I don't know the game very well. Like some people know the game like back of their hand, but because I'm so more focused on RP, I need the HUD because I need help, you
Okay.
know, as far as that goes. And like, I know there's a big thing. I know there was a big conversation about names and stuff, how names should be off and everything. But like, I'm in the middle with that because while I don't nameplate, obviously, I do like to have those names because sometimes people all sound the same. And when you meet 20, 30, 50 people a day, sometimes it all kind of blends in together. And so I like to have those little notes where I'm like, okay, this person's name was this. They introduced me as this. You know, I just need those tips. And I'm old, so I need those. I need help.
I'm the opposite. I never turn the HUD on ever ever ever. Um, but I also have gotten used to not doing it. So I, even when I came back to Atlas, because I hadn't played in a long time, I left the HUD off, and I just couldn't remember to do anything, or how to do anything. But that's also because we or I play this thing that we call leech characters, which are characters who don't provide any game stuff. Like I
Yes.
I don't gather, I don't breed, I don't
Yes.
farm, none of that junk, right?
I feel that. I'm the same way.
You also had a giant ship full of junk, so someone had to do it, right?
Well,
Someone gathered.
yes, but it was more like because some of the things that we got, people would give to us. Like I had a pyramid, I had an essential oils pyramid scheme going
Mm-hmm.
on as one of my side stories. And that was like, I'd meet someone and I'd be like, "Oh, do you have any essential oils?" And they'd be like, "You know, what the hell are you talking about?" And I'd like sell them into it, and they'd give me their essential oil, like what is it? Like essential stuff for the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
They'd give it to me for free, and then I sold it to another character, who then sold it to two other characters, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can see what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we did have a lot of stuff, but most of it wasn't like we have to go out and get these things. It was like, oh, while we're here, we have this, or we'd buy stuff from other people's stalls and then resell it a lot. We did that a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Do you so in trying to figure out where my characters and my play style fits, I created this idea. Okay, there's leech characters, right? That's what I'm calling them. And then there's got to be like progression players, the people who are like, let's go do this, let's get out there, let's fight, let's move, whatever. And then in theory, then there also has to be like facilitation RPers who are doing the actual gathering and trading and like all of that junk, right?
God, yeah.
So
Hmm.
so let's say we have these three kinds of players, right? Do you think that the leech characters like me, not necessarily you because it sounds like all of you were doing it, but do you think that we have do you think we're like a drain on the other players in our company or the other players around us because we're not providing anything into the game and everyone else sort of has to support us?
I think it depends on how you feel as a player of what the importance is. Because like there are some people that they are the hard workers. They are the people providing all this stuff and doing all this stuff. But what is their, I guess, what is their reason as a character to be there? Because I feel like the people that are the leech characters, yeah, we might come off as not doing anything, but maybe we're the ones providing the RP element in an RP server.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes people get really wrapped up in winning the game. And that's always a big thing where it's like, hey, you know, there's no winning here. I mean, you can win, but it's like, that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
At least I've never felt that was the point. I very much play sometimes even to lose because it's more fun as a character.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's it seems like most people um I think with RP servers it's hard to separate between the game and role play sometimes because you have to do both, but which one wins is really up to you as a person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Do you do you find yourself playing the same way in other games like DayZ, where you're going to die if you do that? Like you're dead already if you just leech.
Yes, I feel like DayZ, um I've talked about this too before with my group where Atlas Atlas there's kind of a sense of relaxation sometimes because like with Atlas you could go somewhere and let's say you go to an event and you can just be sitting there and watching for like an hour and not be doing anything. But with DayZ, have to be really intent because if you sit there for 10 minutes, you're cold, hungry, you've got like a disease for some reason. So I feel like with DayZ, even though I feel like I'm playing the game a lot more than Atlas, just because if you don't, you're dead. And then that ruins most of your RP if you have to spend all the time at the train station. You
Mhm.
can't really do anything else.
There's another
Versus-
great idea that I've touched on. So Atlas has a lot of like really funny, chill characters, right? And
yes.
then it seems like maybe you would agree that lots of other games are much more geared towards drama and serious RP. Do you think that's accurate?
Accurate for the
Like
difference between the games.
like I really struggle with doing any sort of drama stuff, but I think that in Atlas it doesn't matter because in Atlas any wacky character I can think up is gonna work. But it
Yeah,
other games are more geared towards I want to be a dramatic character. I want to be like in the subterfuge and like intrigue and stuff. So I'm gonna play a different
right.
game and do that.
I think I think that also goes down to just how you play as a person. Cause
Mhm.
like I am very lighthearted. I don't I like drama. I like the deep stories, but I don't start off with that because I just want to have fun. Like it is a game in real at the end of the day, so I just want to enjoy it and relax and have fun. And so even like with my DayZ character, it's even though it's like a very bad situation, it's a bad setting, it's a like dark thing. I'm mostly just comedic relief for a lot of people where like even yesterday we were out looting and these guys had pulled up and they were like, "Oh, who are you and what are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, howdy." And they're like, "Oh, it's just Gracie." You know what I mean? So they kind of like let their guard down immediately 'cause they're like, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
we know she's not going to do anything because it's just her."
Yeah.
Type of thing, which I like being those characters because sometimes the drama of even in Atlas, it can become overwhelming even in real life. Like out of character drama is just draining.
Uh, I think I agree, but also I haven't done a ton of our drama RP. Do you have tips for someone who wants to be more open to drama RP and stuff? How to get there? How to do it?
Yeah, I think my biggest tip would be that like if you're gonna do drama RP, maybe even have like some sort of out of character communication after things where it's like if there's a big dramatic scene and it's like intense, it's okay. At least I feel like to be out of character and message someone and be like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, you know, it's okay, and that was a good scene, and let's see what happens next." Type of message because some of those things, like, for example, one of the seasons I had in Dark Side, um, we had a character die. It was murdered, pretty much. So that was really dramatic and intense, and it ended up resulting in a fight with someone, like a yelling match in game. And like afterwards, we were like, let's message this person because it sounded like they were actually about to cry, because it gets intense.
Hmm.
So it's just people have to remember that there is someone behind this character, even though it shouldn't be out of character, it does affect people, definitely. So just be be kind to yourself and your other players, even in those really dramatic and bad scenes.
Yeah. What do you think? Obviously, your answer's already there, but what do you think are some good ways to show gratitude to other players? Because obviously, they're giving you their time and investment and all, like everything. So how can we show gratitude to those other people?
I think like in character, I always try to be a repeat customer or a repeat friend. I do try like anyone that's good to me, I try to be like, okay, I need to attend this event. I need to support them somehow as an in character. Like even with your um Samson character. When we first went to the slam poetry event, you know, and it was very small. It was just us pretty much. And I thought, okay, I really enjoyed this. I appreciated this event. I'm going to come back next week and the next week and the next week. That was my in-game character approach to say, "Hey, I appreciated you. Let me like support you in game." And then as far as out of character, I don't think it's a bad thing to message people sometimes and be like, "Hey, I appreciated RPing with you today," or "Hey, that was a cool idea," or something. It doesn't even have to be super big thing or anything, but just like that was funny, or that was fun, or I had a good time today. Those things are like gold to me.
Yeah, I also agree, and the same thing with telling people, hey, um, my character was mad, but we're cool. Like, that sort of thing is also good. Um, Not something I had really thought about before this season, but again, like I'm trying to, of course, be a better RPer and all that stuff. So that's something we talked about, I think, yesterday or something. So that's really cool to hear from you
For
also.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
do you think? Hmm. On I guess like another note, since the season just ended,
Mhm.
do you think that the breaks in seasons or chapters or whatever, the wipes, are necessary?
Um, from a like Atlas technical point of view, I do because even I don't know too much about that servers, like the server side of stuff, but I do know that at the end of the season here, the server was crying. You know what I mean? Like it was difficult to get in the game and stuff. So I don't know if the wipes are necessary for that. I do think that it is nice to have breaks. Like some people play the same character all the time. I never play the same character, so I have a very different view of that because I don't mind because I every time there's a wipe, I do something new. So it's a little different for some people who don't like those. Like, because I know at the end of the season there was a few people that were like, "Do not wipe. I don't want to wipe. I have to keep playing." And I'm like, "Well, I'm in the middle. I didn't want to wipe because I wanted to finish stuff off, but I also was like, well, uh, I'll do something new. I'm just here to have fun and play. I don't care what I'm doing or who I'm playing. I'm just here to role play."
Yeah. Do you have experience? Do you have experience permaing in the middle of a season or chapter or whatever, and then coming back with a new character?
Never in the middle of a season, just because I just haven't had the opportunity. I would. I definitely will. I feel like in the future because like even for next season of GG, I'm playing an old person.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that will give me the opportunity to experience that where maybe my character will die not too long into the season. I don't know yet. I don't know what will happen to her because I
Mm.
can't predict it. But
Yeah.
no, I always play my character out to the finish. Mostly because I don't get in situations that I need perma. I don't fight. I've never been in any fights.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Um,
yeah.
do you think? So I haven't ever done it either. Um, I don't I don't know if I can, but in my opinion, it's because of this idea of the match still occurring. Like the story's still going, the players or the characters are all still there. So if I perma, when I come back, it's hard to separate like what's occurred from the new thing I'm trying.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's
do you?
hard. You kind of have to start. It's almost like you need to make a new account completely in a way.
Yeah, right. Um, so yeah, do you think there are players like me who definitely benefit from wipes, and do you think we'll be able to go again, basically, if there isn't a wipe, say?
I think that it will be a lot more challenging to get into because, like, I've thought about this too with how Alarin is supposed to be, how there's going to be less wipes and less, like, not so much chat, like seasons. It's going to be more like chapters. And I thought about that too, where it's like, well, how do I determine whether my character's story is done? Because I don't want to play the same character for, a year. That's not
Mm-hmm.
fun to me at all. So I think that I'll have to focus more on storyline of things and be like, have kind of like an end goal where it's like, okay, once this character does this, I'm okay with them being done. And then I can move on to a new character wherever it is within the season.
Yeah, I I've been looking at GTA, and obviously the GTA world is the same like every time, right? So, um,
Yeah.
and well, I've definitely seen issues and all sorts of things come from server stuff, so they might also need wipes, but it's hard for me to tell when GTA wipes because it always looks the same. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like where I was looking at as well. If you play in GTA, you know, you might know all the same cops or all the same people, even if you're playing a new character. So I was like, how is that gonna? Tricky. But
Yeah, that is tricky. I think you just have to kind of force yourself to be like, "Hi, I'm this like, 10-second Tom type thing where it's
yeah,
if you're a new character, even though you know everything, you gotta pretend that you don't. And that sucks. It's hard because even playing this season in Atlas, there's people obviously I've met before from last season, and I'm like, "Oh, you get excited to meet them again," but you're like, "I gotta pretend I don't know you
yeah.
at all." Even though I do very well for some people, but it's hard. It's always a challenge for that. That's why I love meeting new people completely because it's easy. It's nice when you meet someone completely new because it's exciting.
Um, how do you how do you feel? I guess about playing with the same crew multiple times.
Um, I'm it's comfortable, I guess. I enjoy playing with my friends, so that's part of it. I feel like because my crew is very mixed. Like sometimes some people are like, I want to play this time. I don't want to play this time. But like the core of us, my best friend is the person that played Giovanni this year, and we always play characters together
Hmm.
and we always play off each other. And I feel like we help each other grow a lot as characters, and our banter and our other things help one another RP and usually encourages other people to RP and help one another too. So I never get bored with it because we always are playing different people. But
Hmm.
I do want to expand a lot more. Like the way that we played this season, we are very close knit. We didn't really have room for people to join in our group.
Hmm.
And I regret that because I think it kind of hurt us in the sense that we didn't get to meet as many people as I wanted to. Versus like when we did the Hollywood season or Hollywood, it was Hollywood, but when we
Yeah.
did that season, we met so many people because it was like an attraction to come
Hmm.
to. And there's some parts of that I like, and there's some that I don't like because you meet a lot of people, which is fun, but sometimes it gets overwhelming because you just it's too much to
Hmm.
remember everyone's stories and interact with so many people, and sometimes you just get landlocked.
Hmm.
Versus like this season, I was mostly ship locked because we lived in our ship, but it was fun to meet a lot more new people that we never met before.
Have you ever, doesn't sound like it, but have you ever done the like really deep storyline kind of character where you know their backstory, you know where they went to school, you know their parents, kind of thing?
So even though my characters are really on the fly, I really obsess over their deep backstory. So
Hmm.
like Teresa was a very like, oh, this is gonna be a short season. Let me just do a fun character. But then as I got into it, I was like, she has a history of burning down the job she works at. She has two sisters. She has a niece. Yeah, like I really get into my characters, and so
Hmm.
even though it's kind of like, oh, whatever, this is a new character, I really get deep into it. And so when people ask me things, I'm like, I have an answer for that because I've been thinking about it all night. Like I stress over it because I just get character creation is my most favorite part of RP servers. So all of my characters have very extensive biographies, even though it's not maybe super like dramatic. Some
Hmm.
of my stuff is ridiculous, but it's there. And the things I don't know, I make up on the fly and then I keep to it.
Hmm. I I have this character Pierre, and I I sort of do the same thing. I like pick some specific thing, like, oh, terrible accent, whatever, um, gay French waiter, whatever. So I have this
Right.
idea, right? And then later on, as we go through stuff, I'm like making up, like, okay, here's why he left, here's why he's here, like as the season goes on, right?
Yeah.
But in Pierre, I made up that junk, and then no one ever asked, like,
Yeah.
ever. Okay,
Yep.
how do you? It sounds like you wind up in situations where people ask junk, and do you think that's? Am I missing something there?
Sometimes they don't ask. Sometimes I just tell them because you kind of have to. Like, because you're right. Sometimes you meet someone and they're like, "Hi, how are you?" And you're like, "Good." And they're like, "All right, cool, bye." You're like, "Well, that sucks." But
Yeah.
but sometimes you just gotta kind of force your way into it. And like that's a lot of people. I've heard people tell me that the characters I play are very intimidating because I
Hmm.
am a little more on the like, "Hi, this is who I am. Here I am. Talk to me, interact with me, and you'll see what happens." Which isn't everyone's style, obviously, but
Hmm.
it works out for me because I do get to show my character a little bit more. Because, like, even during the slam poetry event, the first time we met, I was like, well, I don't want to go up. I was nervous about it, and I was like, oh, here, fuck it. My vows that my wedding was on top of spaghetti. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like that told a lot about my character, where it's just like, oh my god, this woman's a mess. But it
Yeah,
was fun. Made an impression.
that's true. Do you think? And I've played characters. Well, I've played one character that I was told, hey, this kind of limits RP. Do you think there are things that people do and characters do that limits RP and sort of stops you from interacting?
God, yeah. There's people where I've like I said, sometimes I run into someone and they're like they're trying to play a very super strict straight edge character. And so when they run into someone like me, they're like, I don't wanna mess with you. You're too much. And then we never get to interact again. And I'm like, well, you know, it's okay. But at the same time, it's like you don't know what could have happened. You could end up making a huge story out of a characters that you don't think would belong together, but do.
So, I guess, do you have any tips for that? Like, how can I play a character that isn't, mm, I don't want to say aggressive, open.
Yeah.
How can I play a character that's pretty closed off? Because there has to be those as well. We can't all be
Oh,
like, "Hi,
absolutely.
what's going on?"
Oh
Um,
God, that'd be terrible. That'd be so annoying.
so yeah,
I think the
Mhm.
best tip would be that no matter what type of character you are, don't always say no to things. Because even though if there's a character that would always say no to things, all you're doing is closing yourself off. So maybe like within reason, say yes to something that you wouldn't usually say yes to, or even just there's all types of people in the world, and it's not like you meet someone and you're like, oh, you're not like me, goodbye,
yeah,
type of thing. So be be open to all types. And so even if you're an aggressive, nasty, mean character, you can still get interactions because you never know. We played one season on Dark Side where we played Swamp Hillbillies, and we ran into a very like mean pirate woman, and she was like just not she had wanted nothing to do with us. And so Aro's character at that time, she said, you know what, I'm gonna have my character have a crush on her, like one of those things where it's like, wow,
yeah,
she's so mean, I love it, and that's like a reaction where not everything has to be I don't like it, I don't want to deal with it. Some people are like that where you can do that, but I think just take a moment and kind of think of how would your character react to someone versus I don't want to interact. Think of how it can interact versus I just don't want to. And that helps me because there's people that I run into where I'm like, you know what, I'm not really having a fun time RPing with you, but let me try because
yeah.
you never know.
You said a lot of really cutting words there. I did play a character who said no all the time. Unfortunately, that's oof, cuts close to home.
Hey!
Yikes.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Hold
Holy
on.
snap! Thank you so much.
Thank you for the gift sub.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations on your sub as well.
Thank you.
um. Hmm. Yeah, now alerts are on. Sorry, in the first one I didn't have them on. That was my bad. I apologize. Thank you for your sub, shrimps. Um. Hmm. I don't know where my thoughts are on that. The because yes, I agree, and yes, I took what I was told to heart. Yes, I changed my character a little bit, and I did all of that stuff, right? However, there's also this scene that I remember on Dark Side that I think a lot of people remember because it was so like mm, so Boxer grabbed a bunch of flowers, right, and went to the Navy
hmm
and tried to give Darla flowers. And if there were any two characters that it would be great to just see something happen, it would be Boxer and Darla, right? Because of the way
hmm
they are. But when Boxer tried to give Darla flowers, she just said no. And it was it was really good. Like it was like, oh yeah, this is something that should happen, and then no, oh snap, everyone was like, ah, dang it, right? So
Right.
I I struggle, I guess, with the idea of when to say no because it fits with the character and all of that junk versus when to say no or when not to say no because it ruins or it halts RP. Um, tricky. I don't know the answer.
It is hard because it always depends on why a person has said no. If they're saying no because they just don't want to do it, like they don't want to deal with it, that's one way to go about it. But if they're saying no for like development, Like, you could take that situation and be like, they said no. Now I'm gonna either A, become crazy and like keep insisting that we need to be together, or you're gonna be like, oh my god, this was tragic. Now I'm going through an emo phase. Like all those no's can turn into something too.
Yeah.
But it's hard because you don't want to force anybody into RP. So you got to kind of be like, is this okay? What's going to happen? There is like for my character this season, she had Jeannie, which was her niece, who was like the worst niece you could ever have in your life
Hmm.
and always ruining her life pretty much. And so most of the time there was situations where I'm like, "Oh my god, I need you to just shut up."
Yeah.
Even though like I couldn't control that person because I can't. That's another person playing the character, you know, but sometimes I just had to roll with it where I'm like, "Okay, you're going to do this. I'm going to have to go with it, whatever you say, because I can't tame this beast anymore."
Do you
But
have
yeah, it
any?
is hard.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any suggestions for that? Because obviously we're improving all the time, um, but some of us have no idea. Like, I've definitely seen situations where something happens at someone's own port that they just can't like cope, like they can't comprehend the insanity of it, right? The scenario that has occurred in front of them in their own place, and it's like they're kind of, I don't know, like they can't do anything. Do you have any tips for something like that where you're out of your depth, I guess?
Every time I'm out of my depth, I just kind of try to like I do a lot of it's kind of a weird thing, but I always try to think if this was a movie, what would happen next? Type of thing.
Okay.
Because like I really love movies and shows and stuff. So I always think to myself, if this was a movie, what would happen next? And sometimes things are so insane we're like, oh, I don't know. But I think that does help me because it's kind of like, yeah, you can't just say, well, that was crazy. Good night, everyone. I'm going to bed. Because it's just, that doesn't help. But yeah, it's hard. RP is hard and it's
Hmm.
mentally draining sometimes. I think people forget that sometimes that it's a craft. It definitely takes a lot out of you sometimes.
Hmm. Do you? Not do you? What what level of responsibility do you think we as like community members or whatever have to look or at least be aware of the like health and well-being or whatever of other people? Like how are how much are we responsible for keeping the other person's well-being like in our minds and our hearts even while we're playing?
Um, I I do think as a standard, like person to person, for me, I always try to keep people's well-being. I'm very much like I want people to be good person, but I don't think that it's possible to keep everyone happy and in track all the time because that would just be crazy. But I mean, I think everyone should have a general respect for each other, even if they're playing an asshole character. Don't take it out of character. Don't take it to Discord. Don't,
Hmm.
you know, don't sit and dwell on it and then continue it on to day after day. Just let it go.
how how do you think you're pretty, I guess, experienced or whatever, but how do you think the
Whatever.
things you, well, I don't want to speak for you, but from my side, you are much more experienced in RP than me. Like
I
you've
don't think that's true. Just because I've been doing it longer doesn't make me more experienced. It just makes me uh, old.
well, fine, okay. Hey, you're RP older than me.
Okay, that's good.
How do you think the things you see on Discord or in any form of communication affect interactions in the game and stuff?
Um, I I really try not to try to I even like sometimes I even close Discord while I close Discord when I'm in game. I don't have it up. I try to you know separate the two, but it is hard because if you have had someone in Discord be rude to you and you know and you haven't even met, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go out of my way not to meet you because I don't know when that'll happen. But it's not. It does sit in my mind where I'm like, well, if I don't meet this person, that's fine. I don't care. But that might just be me being salty because I think that people because like for example, our ship was a big hot topic for a
Mm-hmm.
few days, and there was some people complaining about it where I had never talked to them before, I had never met them, they never even interacted with us in game. So I'm like, hey, you know, why don't you take this situation and interact with us in game? Say, hey, can you move your ship in game? Like, even we RP'd when we moved, we said that we got evicted. We got kicked out. We had too many tickets.
Yeah.
you know, and that was a good RP on our part. But the other people were like, "Oh, I'm so glad that ship is gone. Fuck them." And I'm like, "You don't even know us. You didn't even RP with us. You don't even know us." So
Mm-hmm.
that was hard. It was hard to separate it because I was like, I was torn because on one hand, the people that we RP'd with liked us and never said anything, and so it made me self-conscious because I was like, are these people that we've met just lying to us and they don't really like us and they're agreeing that we're a pain to the server and we shouldn't be here? Or, or is there just a few people that are complaining to complain? So it's hard.
Uh.
But
Hmm. Okay. First off, you do not have to answer. Second off, I'm worried about asking, but I do want to know what why are hmm does it seem like to you people will say some junk in one server to the same people who are in another server, all the same people, that is completely different than what they would say in that second server on,
absolutely.
say, Discord?
I absolutely think so because some servers people have a very different personality. I think that there are some people that are like, oh, this server is really good and the best. And then GG or another server, they're like, this is second best. It's like stepmom, I don't want, and they're kind of assholes, but then they're still here and making comments about it where it's like, well, what if you don't like living with us, go to your dad's type of thing. But I feel like that's just going to be people. There's going to be those people no matter what. If there was only one server, those people would still be assholes. Period.
Hmm.
you know, that's
The
just going to
comments
happen.
and ideas and thoughts brought forth on this stream are not representative of any specific server, TM, LLC, something like that, even though I technically am representative of some certain servers. TM. Yeah. I just think it's weird that we're all the same players. Like even the really small discords that are like, hey, we're gonna run Arc for a month and we're just gonna play, and like it's 8 people, right? Those
Yeah.
people are the same people who are in GG, the same people in Dark Side. You'll see them in, well, okay, probably not No Pixel, no offense, but like New Day and the Family or Twitch Sharpie or whatever it's
Yeah,
called. So those are all the
absolutely.
same people, right? And we definitely see people say, "Hey, what? I know you from wherever." But you also see multiple people who are like hateful in one place and like, this is great, I love, whatever, this community's great, whatever, but it's the same community.
Yeah.
Like, you're all the same people. It seems really strange.
Yeah, I think that there gets to be kind of like everyone puts on a persona for wherever they are, and so that kind of gets to be like for me as an example, in Dark Side, I don't talk in Dark Side because I'm kind of like number 3000, like whatever. No one cares about me in there. No one like if I say something, no responses, nothing. But in GG, which I really appreciate, is that when I talk and I say something in the server, someone responds to me and someone listens to me, and that is something I really appreciate. Not that like it don't really matter, but it does because I feel like I'm a part of the community versus number 3000. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think that people, when they have someone that has a voice in one of those bigger servers, they kind of get a big head where they're like, well, in this server, I'm the hot shit. So here in this nether server, they're like, I'm not hot shit yet. So I'm going to make you know who I am. And if you're not listening, well, fuck you type of thing.
Yeah. I
And that it's difficult to deal with those type of people because you can see it. You're in all the servers, the same
Yeah.
servers, even in different channels. There's people that I interacted with in one channel, and then they're yelling at me, and in another channel they're like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Well, what the fuck? What face are you wearing today? Because I don't know how to feel about you."
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So
I don't know how to point that out to people. Like we everyone can see everything. So it's weird. I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about and trying to conceptualize and all of that stuff. So I just, I mean, yeah, sure, we could call them out on it, but I mean, then we're also douches too. So,
yeah, finger guns. It's
so
tough.
Brock, I mean, I interviewed Mythocles. I'm pretty sure, or interviewed the season of Mythocles, and I didn't want to like do uh like repeats or whatever, because I mean, your opinion could change for sure, but I was looking for like new and stuff. But I definitely should interview Shelter. I just kind of have a lot of people already, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but you know what I mean?
Shelter is last season he played Jeffrey, and
Hmm.
the twin girls rated him as a 10, so he was the hottest man in the server. So
Must be the
he's definitely some.
mustache.
Yeah, you have to interview him because he's the hottest man alive.
Wow. The question about backstories is actually really related to Jeffrey, because I know Jeffrey has this like long, insane backstory, but it took me like a year and a half to actually get it, because for some reason I just can't. That's not me. I don't small talk in real life. I don't do any of that junk. So like I don't do it in character either, and I think I probably should, but like asking someone like not the big junk, like how'd you get to this sea or whatever, but like, hey, how are you or whatever, and all of that stuff could probably lead me towards more backstory kind of questions eventually, I think. I don't know.
it, it definitely like small talk is it is difficult to do sometimes, and sometimes you're standing around with someone and you're like, what do I say next or whatever. But those little small talks here and there do start to build up a relationship with someone. Cause like you know, even our characters this season, we weren't we weren't close or anything, but I consider us like acquaintances. But it was just small talks here and there. We'd come to the event, we'd say hi, we'd say hello, but we knew things that were going on, so you can kind of keep going and build up a relationship with that character because you are present in their life.
Yeah, definitely. Like if I had caught you on the ship when I visited or whatever, we definitely could have had more interaction and like deeper because we had already met and done small talk junk. That's definitely true. Um, or if like say no one had come to the sculpting thing, we would have like talked more. It's that opportunity there, I guess. Small talk leads to opportunity.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. That's how most things are. Even some of my RP this season was only done through notes because some people we have time, different time zones and everything. So sometimes even just RP notes back and forth, you can make a pretty good character relationship just based on what you say and how you write it and what you mean to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, those little small things do add up and they are important. So even though it's awkward, it can slowly start to build things.
Let's let's move to a super easy topic. Definitely. Do you think that there's a gap in men and women in RP? And what's it like to play a female in RP?
Um, what's it like to play a female in RP? It
Mm-hmm.
depends on the type of character I'm playing, honestly, because I've as I always play a female character, and I've had like depending on the type of female character I'm playing, I have a very different reaction. When I play as playing Teresa, most people are more likely to talk to me because she's kind of brash. She's kind of like, whatever, it's the Newports type of thing. But like when I played one of the twins last season with the Hollywood, I was a mean girl. I was like, oh, you're so ugly. That type of character.
Mm-hmm.
And people really reacted to that badly. Or
Hmm.
like I wouldn't sometimes I would not even have talked to someone and they would be like come to meet me and they're like, "Oh, there's that bitch." And I'm like, "I don't even know you." And so as a female character, I don't know if this is for everyone, but I've noticed that depending on how nice or mean you are is how people react to you.
Hmm.
Versus like there are for me when I've noticed some male characters, someone could be an asshole and some are like, "Oh, yes, wonderful. Give him an award." Versus if a female does it, at least from my experience, they were like, That's a bitch." And I'm like, "I'm just doing what everyone else is doing." But I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if that's the character or if it's just it is male or female or if it's just I think that there's a lot more females in RP servers than there are in regular game servers.
Mm-hmm.
So that changes things too. Because like as a female playing video games, you have a different some people just be nasty just to be nasty. But as our peer, I think you get to have a lot more females around, so people do treat you a little bit differently. But you're on a like a on a very thin cliff of you know
Yeah.
it's hard.
Hmm. I don't have an answer because I'm not female. I all I can do is ask.
I'm not a guy, so I don't know how guys are treated, but that's just what I can. That's just what I've experienced, just between my two
Mhm.
characters, where a character that was a little more mean and nasty got really bad treatment in character and out of character, and she wasn't even that mean. Like Teresa's been more mean to people, but they're like, ah, she's just goofing,
Yeah.
you know. Versus I think like that mean girl character, like inside people's heads, some people, and I won't say everybody, but some people were like, I experienced this type of girl before. I hate you.
Hmm.
Versus like, you know, Teresa, no, most people don't experience that type of person in their life besides like movies or shows or whatever. So
Yeah.
they don't know how to react.
Yeah. Similar to that, I guess. Um, Let me see how I worded it. I was trying to like off the cuff it. Find my find the way I worded it for shrimps. Okay, so we know we know a lot of characters in RP, maybe that
Mhm.
a lot of people don't know in real life, who are gender diverse, polyamorous, gay, queer, like
Absolutely.
tr- um, in drag or trans, all of that stuff, right? So
Absolutely.
I don't think it's necessary to ask, is that okay? Because I mean, do it. Or furry, even, yeah. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course that's okay. I do believe though that people I hope that people, if they are playing those characters, are being respectful of it and not being it as a caricature. That's my only complaint about it is I don't want people to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a character and oh, I'm gonna make them gay to make fun of it," type of thing. I
mhm.
think that obviously diversity is beautiful and wonderful, and I want to see it, but I hope people don't use it as a caricature, if that makes sense.
Are you here reading my notes, or did you watch a last interview? Cause
No, no.
spooky. Yeah. The idea that a lot of the pirates and a lot of the characters that we see are characters, right? Like they're super stereotypical, aggressive, macho pirate, which sort of makes them fit into this stereotype where they all look the same. Um,
Yeah.
no offense. I mean, maybe a little, but like a lot of these characters are over the top. Um, but when you apply that to these like more sensitive topics of um, identity and race is another one. Um, do you have tips for people to be more accurate with something like that?
Tough one because like you could say research your role a little, but obviously it's kind of like being an actor, but it's easier in a game because you can change your appearance, you can change your look easily, but that doesn't change your insides obviously or even your character playing the game. So I think it's difficult. I personally I always play characters that are more on the safe side as far as that goes, just because I really don't want to hurt someone or offend someone, and I don't know what would, you know what I mean? I know about these communities obviously, but I'm not a part of all of those communities, so I don't want to be like, oh hey, this is what I feel like this should be because I've seen it or heard about it, because then someone who's coming and like into the game and they are part of that community and they're like, wow, this place is bad. Look at
Yeah.
these assholes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's difficult. I think that people, if you really want to play a character that's very different from your own community, like maybe do a little research, maybe even ask someone that is a part of the community and be like, is this okay? Is this appropriate?
Mm-hmm.
Because it can become super hurtful and nasty quickly if you don't know what you're doing.
Hmm. Yeah. I played Pierre, who was a gay French waiter, like I said. Um, when you said don't play it as a joke, I was like, oh snap, I did play it as a joke. Shrimps didn't know Pierre was gay, which is ridiculous because I've told her before Pierre is gay. But at like one point in the season, like I had to tell someone, oh yeah, I'm gay. So surprise. Whereas like if you were like really deep in with the character and you were in the club, you would see like all the pictures of Justin Bieber all over the walls. So like where were you, you know?
Right.
Pierre was French? Yeah, well, hey, I mean, not really. But yeah,
I guess for me, I personally feel like while I can see how, you know, your character being gay, right? It was a joke. It was the light parts of your role play. You know what I mean? Like you said, the Justin Bieber posters, the stuff like that. But as long I feel like as long as your intention wasn't like I am making a gay character to make fun of
mhm,
being gay. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's so like that's those type of characters can be so risky because you could say something that you think, is funny, and another person could be like, "Wow, that really hurt my feelings." But that could
yeah,
happen with that could happen with any character. You could be playing yourself and say something, and you're like, "Holy shit, I just really hurt someone's feelings."
yeah,
It's RP is hard that way because you don't know someone's personal life day to day. So someone could say something and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that you were experiencing that in your
mhm,
own life." So it's more hurtful than someone that's like, "Well, I don't care."
yeah. As an RP doctor, how do you think we can play characters that aren't us? Because of course everyone says we shouldn't, but if we're if we consider ourselves not very good and not very experienced in acting, how can we make a character who is us because it's us, but not us?
Um, I would say because I do this too. All of my characters have sprinklings of me in it because that's the me is the best character I know how to play because I've been playing it my whole life. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you're playing a character and you want to make it different, it's still you, but it's not you. Just start doing things that you don't usually do, and then just kind of branch off for it. Like for me, I'm not I'm not from New York. I'm not from New Jersey. I don't make pizza. I don't do any of those
What?
things. I
No.
my normal accent is I'm from Minnesota. Whatever. I'm not that none of that stuff. So that was something that that character still had parts of me in it, but I don't do the things she does. I don't have a list of men that I want to be with in real life. I don't it's just little tiny quirks that will help make characters. So you could literally make yourself in game, but give yourself one random quirk and that will turn into a different character for yourself.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's how I make characters. Um, sort of. But like, okay, maybe it's not in thinking about it.
Just be adventurous. Be out there.
Well, there's a lot of people who say I can't do voices.
You don't even have to do
Well,
voices. It's
yeah,
just
but
yeah.
like some people will say, "Oh, I'm not outgoing. I can't do voices. I can't do all of these like things that the people who are making insane characters do." I'm not
Mhm.
attacking you, shrimps. I'm talking about myself also. But you know what I mean? Like when I've made two characters now, three characters,
Mhm.
just kidding, that are me. It started off as me. Um, which is weird to think about because those same characters wound up not being anything close to me. Um, but I don't know what it was that got me there. You know what I mean?
It's, I feel like it's probably events as because you, even if you start off with a character that's just you, the events that happen don't usually happen to you in real life. You know what I mean? Atlas is a fantasy world, so it's not like you don't wake up in the morning and your port's being attacked. That doesn't happen in real life usually, and
Mm-hmm.
so you do have to kind of immediately come up with, okay, does my character say this is a good thing or a bad thing, or how do you
Yeah.
react? And then that's how it starts to build up into a character. Versus like person like me who makes characters where I have a whole, you know, accent and I do all this other stuff. You know, I might have a little bit different way of responding to things, but a lot of the things are it's still me. You know, just with a funny accent and maybe a little bit quirk here and there. 'Cause you can't help that. You know?
Yeah, hmm. I'm thinking about specifically this character named Spencer who I played in
Yep.
GTA and then took to DayZ, and like it's just me. It's my voice mostly. I just say bruh a lot more. Um,
Uh-huh.
which is a character that a lot of people do, you know, the like more macho
Oh god,
stuff,
yeah.
the bruh and all that junk. But I wasn't doing it like even to be that. I was just putting more bruh in it. But
Right.
Spencer was not me on GTA, but when I made him, he was, and then somehow he immediately became not me, and I don't know exactly how that happened. Yeah, so I'm just trying to work through it. I think it's so what I did with Spencer is it's me and my voice, and he was spoiled by his dad, and that's like the only backstory that I had, right?
That that is so key to how things work though. Because if you just have that one quirk, you saying he was spoiled by his dad, that affects the rest of your characters, everything. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Someone spoiled by their dad's not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go work hard now. You'd be like, oh, where are my butlers? Where are my stuff? It doesn't even have to be an accent. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just that one quirk can change every outcome of your RP.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
think like if you really take that's the one thing about making I feel like a good character is if you take those couple quirks and you use those to solve every RP situation, you'll have a good character because that one spoiled quirk affects everything. It affects what your character says to somebody. It affects how your character's work ethic is. It affects, you know, what house you might live in, what things you might wear. You know, if you wanted to. Obviously,
Yeah.
I get really into it. I'm insane. But like that's how I role play my characters is like based on my character's weird quirks, I'm going to be like A equals B equals C and that
Hmm.
just makes my role play keep going.
Definitely. Um, yeah, because I mean that's definitely true. When I took him into DayZ, because I did, because I didn't want to come up with something new. People would offer me things in the game, and I didn't know anything about the game at all, so it didn't matter what they were trying to give me. But they
Right.
would offer it to me, and I'd be like, "Nah, it's cool. Albert will handle that. You know, he's out in the woods or whatever."
Right.
And Albert didn't exist, and then Shelter made Albert, and Albert showed up. He was like a fake in my head character who just like showed up, and then Albert was doing stuff for me, and I was like, oh well, perfect, you know. So
Yeah. And that really does add to things where like even my character for Daisy right now, I she's a country western singer.
mhm.
And like she always tells the people she's around, she's like, I have three top hits. I'm like and she does it. You know, I I don't have anything. But it's just like because my character is adamant that I'm a great country singer, people are either like, "Oh yeah, she is," or they're like, "What the hell are you on?" But as long as you keep to that, like you being with the Albert thing, you
Mhm.
kept with it even though it didn't exist, and that changes your character's outcomes.
Yeah, true. I forgot earlier, mostly at the beginning, to apologize for taking Slick's idea. I was supposed to credit him yesterday for taking his idea, and I didn't do it, about forcing factions to have a single goal. I apologize. It was Slick's idea. But what do you think about the way every company has everything and every player type, or um, whatever? And do you think forcing companies through rules or whatever, specifically in Atlas, I guess, um, to stick to their role like really hard, do you think that would help? For example, pirates who don't gather, pirates who don't breed, and pirates who have to steal in order to sustain themselves.
That's a tough question because while I think that having that forced could help RP, it could also hurt RP a lot just because of how the game is played. There's sometimes where I got on and I was the only person on my grid.
Mm-hmm.
So am I going to be like, okay, now I got to travel 30 minutes north to see if this person's on and they're not on. Now I got to travel here. And so I spent the whole day around when I could have been like, well, I could just craft this thing.
Yeah, true.
It is hard. There's things where it's like, as a person, you have to decide, do I make this task that I can do by myself now for easy, fast outcome, or do I take the time to RP it out,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote? And that's hard. I don't think it should be forced, but I think it should be encouraged. Because
Mm-hmm.
I do think that a lot of times what happens is that, especially groups that are bigger, you pretty much are a self-sustained community at that point, and so you don't really need to RP with anyone besides your own group at that point. And so it kind of makes you, while it's still fun for you, it kind of makes you like, I hate to say pointless, but it does make you pointless to the rest of the community
Mm-hmm.
because you're not serving anything else. You're just living within yourself, and then that's it. But if those
Definitely.
people like expanded out a little bit and was like, hey, we do this and we're the only people who can do this, it makes people come to you.
Yeah,
Use that?
the tricky part is that, like, large companies are so good for RP, even though they like crush the RP out of it, because you wake up, you're talking to the person next to you like immediately.
Yes.
Um, there's four people standing around. Sometimes, for example, the Pirate Bros, we had like three or four different schedules, so we didn't see a bunch of people all the time. But
Mm.
a lot of the times, the people in a company are all the same time zone, and you log in and you play with those people because, like, you didn't have to do anything. Like, boom, you were in RP already, over and over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
Instant gratification.
Mhm. Tricky. Time zones are terrible, and we should all live in the same place.
It really does. Time zones really does screw things because there was times where I wanted to RP with someone, but it's like, okay, I can't play until 5 because I'm working. That
Mhm.
person goes to bed at 5 because they're across the world. Do I, leave work early so I can talk to this person, or do I just say, you know, well, that's, like I said, some of my RP was done just by notes
Yeah.
because that's the only way we could communicate. It sucks, but that's what you got to do sometimes.
I have another idea I've been thinking about for a long time. Do you think that do you think there's a line between like backstory and fake RP? Because like we have these backstories. Okay, Pierre is French and he was in this club or whatever, and now he's here, right?
Hmm.
So anything I can say could have actually happened. For example, Pierre told people that he scammed tons of people that he did not scam, like day to day, and it worked because Pierre is a liar, so it didn't matter. But do you think that when you miss out on RP situations, you can just make it up so that you can tell other people? Or should it all be strictly, these are the events that happen, so that's what I'm going to talk about?
I think there is times when that's appropriate, and I think there's times where it's not. I think that if you're just doing it because you weren't there, like I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I was at that event and that was nice and I did this. That like there's some parts where that's appropriate where it's like you said, like you say you're scamming all these people, but that didn't happen. That's okay because it doesn't really hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like, I was at the event and this is what happened, like, and that's it's not like your character's lying. You really do believe that and you're saying that that's what happened. It's like, uh, you know, that starts to just be like, well, we can do whatever we want and say whatever. Then there's no point to the stories at all. It's just all made up.
Yeah.
But I think mine is just fine. Like in
Oh, yeah.
DayZ, in DayZ right now, I met uh well, it's Eugene Murphy in Atlas, right? I met his
Yeah.
character. He's Lorenzo in DayZ, and
Yeah.
uh, we met each other, and then we kept on popping up next to each other, right? And I was messing with them, right? Because we played with each other in Atlas and stuff. But then when we met his group later, I said, "Yeah, that Lorenzo guy, he keeps stalking me." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was telling people he was stalking me, and
Yeah.
like that's a lie. He wasn't stalking me, but they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll have a talk with him." You know what I mean? So like those type of little lies can make fun RP, but it's not like I'm gonna be like, "Hey, this guy's stalking me. He needs to get kicked out of the game."
Yeah.
Because like you know what I mean? Like there's little fine details of how you do stuff. But I think making up stuff is okay as long as it doesn't like really affect something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, how do you know if it affects things or not?
You don't know, and
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
it's risky. Like
Yeah.
my character saying that could have got his character kicked out of his group.
Hmm.
You know, that could have happened, but I guess that's his RP that he has to deal with, and they have to have their own relationship. They might be like, "Oh, we talked to that girl. She said you're stalking her," and he could have been like, "Well, she's crazy," and they're like, "Oh yeah, she was crazy," and then it's done.
Yeah.
You know, it
Everyone
it's all
agrees.
improv. Yeah. It's all improv, so you just never know what will happen. That's what makes it so exciting is you just don't know what your day to day
Definitely.
things happens.
Um, definitely. It's all improv. um, guess I covered most of the stuff I wanted to ask about, and then a bunch of random junk I didn't even think of. What? So we don't know how you came into RP really, but the way I did it is I watched Pony Punch, and I thought, wow, this is so great. It's like entertaining and junk. And then eventually I
Mhm.
was like, I want to kind of try that and be a part of the community, right? Um, and that's how I got to, I guess, where I am eventually. Do you have anything that you would say to like people who haven't played or have never RP'd or any of that stuff?
I think it depends on how deep you want to get into it. So like when you mentioned Pony Punch, my first like thing was Mr. Moon. I don't know if you ever watched him before,
Mm.
but um, he's a really like is really gets into RP YouTuber from a while ago. He like would make whole big things. But
Mhm.
that's what really got me into it. And so I would watch him and I like sound the same way. I liked that. And I was like, this seems like fun. I want to do it. So then I got into it. And like at first I was scared, I was shy, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I messed up a lot. But then
Mhm.
as time went by, I got more confident and I'm like, you know what? Everyone here is just kind of like nerds. Like we're all just people playing video games and RPing, like we're nerds. So it kind of makes me feel more comfortable. I'm like, this is just my community. It's okay to make a fool of yourself and it's okay to just try things and just just trying it is a good start. And then you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. Don't. D- how do you I guess ease people's minds who are worried about messing up?
Um, as far as like out of character, I would just be like, just relax. It's okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. As far as in character, my characters always just roll with it. And I tease people sometimes when they make mistakes, but I just kind of, you know, people have to just walk before they can run
Hmm.
type of thing. So it's kind of like you just have to just do it. Like I hate to just be like, just do it. But it really is. You just have to start it and then your first season or whatever your first time is always going to be scary. And it's going to not go how you want it to go, but as you RP with more people and you learn about it more, you start to get better, quote unquote, or you get more comfortable, I should
Hmm.
say. 'Cause like I don't think I'm any better, but I'm more comfortable with just like trying things.
Yeah. Um. Oh, I guess one more thing. Do you think? Hmm. My idea is kind of like the Navy for beginners. Do you think there's a way to make? Hmm. Is there any way you can think of to make a company or group or something specifically for like comfort and ease for new players?
Absolutely. I've thought about this like a lot is that I always think because there are people that I've ran into at the Freeport, you know, you can tell it's their first day and I'm like, God, I wish there was someone here to help you because like I'm trying to buy dye or something and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" You know, "What you doing here?" type of thing. And they're like, "How do you open my map?" And I'm just like, like, do I stop trying to RP or do I like, I'm like, oh, you do around, like it's hard. And so if there was something at the Freeport, even like a NPC tutorial, like an NPC person or some like even just something or a company or a school of some sort where someone can that's their first thing they join and then they have to pass it or something like this something to help because there are many times where I'm like I know that this person has potential but because they're new to the game or maybe they're new to RP they don't even know where to start. They seen someone stream and they're like this is fun. I want to do it too, but they don't know any of the hidden like manners of it, I guess. Is
Hmm.
that the right word? Like they just don't know how to play yet. So if someone was there to help them or like guide them a little, maybe they could understand it a little bit more than just like watching someone because when
Hmm.
you're watching someone on stream, they're already playing and knowing how to do it. So they're like, "Oh, that's easy." But they don't realize that it's not that it's not that easy. You can't just nothing things just don't appear for you like that in Atlas. It is a harder game.
First off, are you sure you're not reading my notes and DMs? Because some of the junk you say is really scary. A, and B, um, do you? I mean, there's definitely no responsibility of streamers to do anything. We're not.
No.
We all have our own goals and junk, of course. But um, do you think that if, for example, I wanted to help people, do you think there are things I could do in stream that maybe I'm not doing?
Um, as far as like in stream help, maybe like if someone gets introduced to the server because of your stream, I feel like it's not super inappropriate for you to help them start out. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe you could even have like a recruit day where you're like, okay, everyone that wants to be a part of this and is from my stream and is first time RPer, maybe you go pick them up from the Freeport and give them a little bit of, you know, let me give you the ropes a little bit and then send you on your way if that's where you want to go, type of thing. But it's hard because you just don't know what someone's thoughts about it all is. And you don't know
Yeah.
where their level is either. You could have someone, like I said, the person that's like, oh, how do I open my map? And how do I do this? And I'm like, I don't even know how to help you in character because you're not in character right now.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
That I know I've introduced people personally while I was on Dark Side, but it wouldn't have worked and it didn't matter because Dark Side is like A, so big, and B, I was solo most of that time. But I don't think it's happened while I'm on GG, but at the same time, I also don't know at all. So, because like when I watched Pony Punch, for example, I didn't say anything. Like I'm watching some French king wander around Ark, a game I've never played, and I know nothing about any of these players and junk. I'm just watching it like, wow, cool story, you know, until the point where I was like, I want to try this. Ark sucks, I guess. Let's do Atlas. So I guess I don't ever know if someone's looking at a stream, and I don't think any of us do, who actually wants to play. So I, um, like maybe there should be some kind of like every 45-minute disclaimer like, hey, I'm here to help you kind of thing, but that's weird too, you know. I can't be trying to help people all the time, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I think, and if you watch some streamers, they are very much like a walking advertisement board sometimes where they're like, by the way, this is the server I'm playing in, and this is what I'm doing, and join this Discord and do this and play this. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the community does need those people, but I don't think that every single person needs to do that because people that want to play are going to ask. And people that are just here to watch are just going to watch. And that's okay too. But I also feel like most people that are watching streams are already part of the community and we're just
Yeah,
kind of boofing around and looking at what other people are doing when we're not playing.
definitely. um Definitely. I definitely assume that all the people who show up already know what the heck's going on, or are just checking in to see what's going on this time, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm not super worried about it, but also I want to help people who are just like me. So
I
yeah,
think
I don't know.
I don't think it's a bad thing if you want to have like a thing in your stream where you're like, "Oh, by the way, if you're interested in, you know, I don't know. I guess I think I would like see how my chat is doing. If there's someone in the chat that's like, "What game is this? What is this?" You can probably be like, "Hey, here you go." But I don't know. I think for the most part, like I said, I think people are already part of the community. So someone being like, by the way, check out GG, I'm gonna be like, I've been here already. You don't gotta tell me. You don't
Yeah.
gotta tell me that.
We know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the only time I've really like advertised or whatever is when it's clear that someone is asking who doesn't know. For example, is this on console? That person has no idea what I'm doing because A, it's not on console, B, there's a ton of mods, C, they can't play, D, they need a computer, like, but then I go into all that
Right.
info, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the only
That's
time.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You're doing great, sweetie.
No, yeah, thanks. Like I said at the beginning, I'm doing these for me and then pretending that I'm helping or whatever other people. Yep.
Yeah, it is helpful. I think getting other people's opinions and viewpoints of stuff, it's it's important.
I appreciate that sentiment. However, the real reason I burn out on these interviews so quickly is because we all think and say the same things. Um, I've heard your thoughts before, and I've thought your thoughts before, you know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
is really cool to show other people, like, not only do I think the same way as you do, this random person I don't even know, like, you and I have never spoken, but, or I mean, out of character, really,
Right,
you know,
right,
whatever.
right.
We have the same thoughts, we have the same rough goals. We're all sort of the same, and I think that's what these interviews show more than anything else. Like, not something new, but that
Yeah. I think
you and I are the
too,
same. Hmm.
right. I think too, like, to be honest with you, like, these are my thoughts and opinions, but of course there's things that I also think where it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like seen as a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Sure.
could sit here and say, I believe that this community needs to work on being more creative with their characters, you
Okay.
know? And that could come off as very harsh and topical, but I'm not gonna sit there and be like, this is why I think that, you know what I mean? You do
Yeah.
want, like, generally everyone kind of thinks the same, but there's gonna be some outliers where it's like, you know what? I don't like this RP stuff here and this RP stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but
Definitely. I think it helps us be more well-rounded because we do play on so many servers, multiple games, and we take breaks and stuff to do other things, like try to do GTA, try Daisy, um, get into stuff. So I think that makes us more well-rounded because the characters in Atlas are a specific way and the players in Atlas are a specific way, and like we talked about, when you go into DayZ it's completely different and you have to re-evaluate things. So I think
oh, yeah.
I think it's important to have people who have done like more than just the one thing talk about RP so that we can talk about the, like, meta is the only word I can think of. The meta behind RP as a whole, but you know, whatever it is.
Oh god, yeah. The way that you role play in a game changes from game to game, but the core of it is always the same
Hmm.
of what, you know, what should be happening. Or what, I guess it's not so much should as more like what my ideal,
Hmm.
you know, my ideal version of RP for every game.
Yeah. There are definitely best practices for RP, just like there are best weapons and best armor and best guns or whatever. They just are harder to see and look at and identify and all of that stuff.
Yep, and someone's best, it's like the thing, like someone's trash is another person's treasure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it that's the hard part about making an RP server, I think, is that everyone's idea of what a perfect RP server is gonna be different.
Mm-hmm.
So you never can be right. There can
True.
never be a perfect server.
True. Maybe. Maybe there could
Maybe.
be. Maybe
There
we could
could
find it.
be if there's only like one person in it.
True.
No. I think that for me, I feel like GG specifically is on a really good path for achieving that more player oriented RP
Cool.
server.
The thoughts and feelings expressed in this stream are not directly representative of any specific server or entity or organization or whatever. TMLLC, YMCA.
Finger guns.
All right, cool. I'm out of questions. Yeah, I'm out of questions. Great job.
Thanks. I'm so glad that you told me that this was streamed as you started streaming. That was my
Look,
favorite part.
I'm really sorry. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I thought that you were just gonna type questions to me and I was gonna type them out, and all of a sudden you're calling me, and then you're like, "By the way, I'm streaming," and I'm like,
Let me
"Oh,
see what I
okay."
said. Hold on. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, dang.
There's no talk. I didn't even know we were gonna be talking.
Look, my bad. Okay. I do see. Look, it says interview. It says 15
Interview
or
does
so
not mean talking.
questions. It says
I
takes
thought you were
about an
gonna send me like a
hour.
survey.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for rolling with it. I will
Of
let
course.
everyone else know, even though I think they know. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. Everyone else I asked, I didn't have to say that because they already know. Like,
Oh, so it's my fault.
well,
Is what you're saying?
it's not your fault. It's definitely my fault, but I didn't think about it because, like I normally do like really safe ones because this is like super awkward and scary, right? And then I try and sprinkle in people I don't know, right? So
You're like, look at this chump. Let me get her up on here.
no, not at all. Like
I'm just teasing.
they're all really targeted. Like I'm trying to get answers from specific people about things I want to work on. And so like I just when I asked no, I already said I'm sorry. I already said I'm sorry. Oh my
Hey,
gosh,
big
like
comment.
I'm really sorry. Here's why. The other people kind of knew, is all I'm saying. And I didn't think to tell you, so I'm sorry. Let me just message every other person on the list real quick.
By the way, in case you didn't know.
Streamed.
I don't care. This was fun. I enjoyed myself. I'm just giving you a hard time because I can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just go dig Pete for 3 hours and make it up to you, I guess. Yikes. Yeah, thanks very much, like I said, for rolling for it with it. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
I might I'm not gonna clip this out of the interview, but I could, in theory, clip this out of the interview and no one would ever know. But no.
Yes, they would. They will. This will not be silenced.
Okay.
I will let everyone know you tricked me into an interview.
I did.
Yeah?
I'm really sorry. Dang it. Hey, there are other ones. I'll tell you specifically so I could tell other people. There are other interviews that already exist from past seasons, Dark Side specifically, of people you might know. For example, Brock, Ayana,
Yes.
uh,
Yep.
Saz, Gob 3 times.
Oh God.
Well, because
Why 3 times?
Gob Gob is a meme interview because he and I think the same things basically. So when I ask him questions, I know what the answers are, and
Right.
I can just say things, and I don't have to be scared. But like, I could
you
ask you a
scared?
I could ask you a question, and you could just say some junk. Like
Are you scared to interview me?
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know you.
Why?
You know, like it's the same thing as every RP interaction is super scary because I don't know that person in the same way as real life. Like, I don't walk up to people and say, "What's going on?" So, to interview someone I don't know is like, "What's going on?" for an hour and a half, even though this one's been even longer than that. And I apologize for that too.
Okay. Yeah. It'd be
I
like
think
that sometimes.
I think it's scary to RP. I think it's scary to interview people. It's scary to stream. All that junk's scary.
Well, I can't relate. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. There are definitely people who don't find it scary. And that's cool.
I used to. I definitely used to, but like as I have my doctorate in RP,
Yep.
I now I really don't care anymore. I've
Mhm.
gotten to the point where I'm like, well, whatever. You know, take me in, take me or leave me. I'm not here to impress anymore. Or I don't care if someone doesn't like me anymore.
Mhm.
And that's okay. Because I found a lot of people that do like me and that I like them, and so it's fun.
Nice. I think I don't actually know what I said, but I think I messaged you on Discord and said, "Hey, some junk about thanks for coming" or something. But if I didn't, many of us, I'm sure I can speak for them, think you're a great RPer, possibly a doctor of RP. You have great characters, and we appreciate your time. So thank you very much. And I also appreciate your time here.
You're welcome. I'll be here for the rest of my life.
Cool. But not on the stream because I'm gonna
No.
go
No.
somewhere else.
Oh God, no.